Alrighty, lights are green. We looks like we're good to go. So, g'day! Don't know what happened to my voice there. G'day, Stu from UAV Futures. Welcome to the FPV Mix, the live stream where we just answer some of your questions, jump in, and talk about all things FPV. But first things first, we need to take care of the business of. I need to know what's the sound quality like, what's the stream quality like. If you could throw some comments down below, all that sort of stuff, just so we can figure out that this is actually working and I'm not sitting here talking to myself like some sort of crazy person. I've got to pause this video at the top there, and hopefully, if I scroll down, it should be good. And let me double check some of these shortcuts are working as well. So this one, oh, look at this. It's all looking good. As long and we've got Drew T saying it sounds good. Oh, look at Stu, fantastic. And I've tried today too. I put it on a different lower latency mode. So what you're saying should correlate. There shouldn't be such a difference in terms of the time difference between what you're typing in and also what I can read. So if you're new to the stream, thanks so much for checking in and stopping by. Let me know what the time is, where you are. It is currently midday here in Australia. Trying to do a bit of a daily stream, find out, just what is the FPV community up to in this when the world is in lockdown. And all right, what's going on? So sounds good to me. If you're streaming from a cardboard box, well, pretty much. Check this out, brother. All right. Oh yeah, it's much more not delayed. So that's from Epilogi. Fantastic. Hey Stu, love all your goggle reviews. That's coming in from Josh Collins. Younger Buckets is asking me if I remember him. Well, I need a bit more information. So from the name Younger Buckets, not quite so much. And we've got some other people tuning in from Germany. It's 4 a.m. in the morning, and I don't know what the time is in the US as well. Maybe if I think about one of my good mates, Donnie and Russ over there, I know it's probably 10 p.m. possibly. Maybe they're like 2 hours behind, but then we changed daylight savings. Maybe 9. I'm not 100% too sure. All right. And if you are going to ask me a question, we're going to be answering all things FPV drone related. We're going to be looking at some videos, going for some products, and I guess doing a bit of shopping, having a look around. If you've got anything, throw it in there. I'll answer your questions. But the big one, make sure you tag me with @UAV Futures, so it makes it so much easier for me to see your question and answer some of that. All right. So we've got Lead Chicken FPV. Holy crap. Can't believe I caught you live. It's 10 o'clock on the USA East Coast. So, alrighty, hopefully you've all had your dinner, or if you're sitting down, maybe not having a cup of coffee at 10 o'clock at night. That might not be the best. All right. And it's 7 in California. Forget how many time zones the US has. Right. Mr. Ma at UAV Futures. Thank you so much for tagging me there with the little @ symbol and writing my name. Definitely much easier to answer some of these questions. You sound, hello. You sound good. Video is good. Here's my question. I purchased a Diatone GTR 369. Was there a better option? No, I think the Diatone 369, we'll check that out for some viewers here, is a pretty beast little frame that can go. Let's have a look at the Diatone USA store. That's this bad boy right here. Now look, we get 8% off our order. No thanks. Anyway, so and I'm going to jump in and answer Nick's question straight after this one. We have this little beast right here, the Diatone. This is the 369. So the 6 stands for, the 3 is a 3-inch. The 6 stands for 6 cell. And I'm not too sure what the 9 stands for. If from memory, I'm sure I could ask them, the guys over there. But yeah, essentially this craft here is an absolute little beast. And you'll have a lot of fun with it. I know Andy RC liked it. I liked it. It's one of the fastest little microcrafts we have ever flown. And I actually put a Cadex Vista inside one of these, and it's kind of like a really fun little ripper now. All right, let's get in and answer some of your questions. Thank you for kicking it off there. With the first one, let's do this. And Mike, no, not Mike, FPV Nick Malden, thanks so much for the first super chat of the day. What's the best complete package with DJI setup, drone, radio, goggles, etc.? So if you want to go DJI, it is very easy to jump in. There's probably going to be a lot of DJI questions today. It is very easy to jump in with they already sell a package, which is just the one that comes with radio goggles and an air unit. And let's have a look at that. DJI FPV system. We'll see what we can find. There's some here on bangers. let's have a look. So that would look like this. Radio. So that is this right here. So that comes with kind of everything that is like that's nice. But if you need to get the drone as well, one that I really liked, it depends how much money do you want to spend, Nick. So you need to let me know. You have to spend in the big bucks or just the medium bucks because you're kind of right in at the top end anyway without spending 800. But a good drone that I liked that was DJI compatible was the DC5 Titan, possibly. I think they were the letters we used to search it up. Oh, look at this. You actually can buy one, but it doesn't come with the radio. So you could get these two if we have a look at how much it is with the radio. So there's the drone, the goggles. You would also need to buy the radio as well, which could easily bind up to it. But yeah, I guess that's this one right here. This was a very fun cinematic drone. I really liked it. Flying this thing around had no issues whatsoever. And from the same guys who make like the Nazgul, which is one of the most popular freestyle frames out there, and just all-around beginner quads that people jump in and rip around with. This bad boy, this is probably it. This is going to answer your question perfectly. So I'm very glad I could help there. I didn't know there was a package where it came with the goggles as well. So yeah, just search for DC5 Titan on Bangers and or Banggood, and you should be able to see that one. Alrighty, really? FPV is saying salute Stu. Well, no worries. Thanks very much, brother. I think that just means hello. It's 9 o'clock in Louisiana. Sounds good. We're still getting a lot of people talking about the time. Thank you very much. Back to my mug here. Look at me being all professional. I could work in the TV industry there, getting those shortcuts down, finding out how to do stuff on the computer. Right. So Exotic Austin, please remember to tag me if you've got a question for me with the @UAV Futures. What's a good quality drone that'll last but not break the bank? It depends how much you want to spend, but this one, the Emax Buzz, I think is a very robust quad, but a little bit pricey. So that's this bad boy right here. But if you look at the frame, if you look at the frame, it has some very solid looking camera protection. So this one, yeah, let's just say this if you want something that's really robust, or you might even be able to get an Armaton. I wonder how much an Armaton Mammut or something is. Armaton Mammute, as they say in the fancy parts of the world. That's $100. How much is a fully built one? Because that's kind of getting close. This is kind of premium. It's a pre-order. Let's have a look here. Armaton, like I mentioned a few times in some of my past videos, are up there with, I'd say, my top 3 companies in FPV. Let's have a look. I'm sure they do custom built models. Ooh, we can shop by price. Okay, no, these ones are a bit more expensive when you're looking at like a Mammut is $450. That's about as premium as you can get. Them and Catalyst Machine Works. But there is also the Nazgul. We should just have this one up. Nazgul. iFlight. And it's not going to show me. So the Nazgul iFlight is about $150 as well. So if you want to check that out, that's also a good one. And look, you can also buy some face masks for your. I don't know why it's coming up with that right there. Anyway, let's move on. Answer some more questions. Radio. I got to stop using this scroll button because I scroll down a little bit and then it jumps to almost like the bottom of the page. So here we go. This one is from Fabs Memes Politician. Thank you so much for using the @UAV Futures. Very easy to read there. Hey Stu, got a question on how to mount my RX antennas. I went flying yesterday and one of my antennas broke off immediately and got snapped. So if you're using something like I'm going to keep using this as an example. I find underneath the arms can be a good place for this is the Immortal T that's this antenna right here for everybody playing along at home. It's a little bit, how can we see there? But if you don't have that, you might just have those two antennas that might come off your XM Plus or something. You can just simply mount them. What I used to do quite a lot is underneath the arms, sticking out horizontally. So that way when you're flying along, just underneath the arm, or maybe one coming down, one coming horizontal. So yeah, I find mounting them underneath the arm like that is good. and just seems to work really, really well. They don't get hit by the props. You want to make sure they're not in an area where they can move and deflect and get hit by the props. And if you're wondering how do I mount them, simply put a zip tie around them, a zip tie around the arm. You know what? I can probably, it might take me a while to go find an example, but zip tie around, straighten it out, feed your antenna through it, clip the end of the zip tie, put a bit of heat shrink over the top of it and heat it down, and it will stay in place. So it will stay where you've locked it in. So that is how I mount most of them, except for the Immortal T's, because they need to go across the whole arm anyway. So hopefully that helps. And if you're talking about a FPV antenna, that is a little bit different though. That's not an RX antenna. June Loco 619 is saying, I finally got my DJI goggles. Congratulations. Have you gone out for a fly yet? Let me know, because they are very special. Definitely an experience. It's like, I don't know, if you can try and capture that on film when you first get to go out and fly, especially if you've been flying analog, it's nice to be able to look back and be like, that was the day when everything changed. I should slow down on this soda water too, because I guarantee I'm going to need to go to the loo in about 5 minutes time. Okay. Let's see. FPV spin. Hey Stu, what is your favorite 3-inch or less with the air unit in it? Absolutely. Well, it would be the Diatone. Only if we're talking about the air unit are you talking about the FPV one from DJI? Because if it is, it's the Diatone 369 that we looked at before. What do we got on? I'm getting distracted by all these pictures of masks and whatever else we're looking at here. Let's have a look at some other hobby stuff. Let's just go multi-rotor parts. Then I'll be able to focus a little bit more. Okay. So scrolling down. Epilogue is saying, I'm waiting for the virus to be over so I can go to some local drone shops. Absolutely. Support. If you've got local drone shops in your area, definitely go check them out, support them, give them your business. They do a lot for this hobby. I know for me, I was a bit disappointed when I first got into FPV, and I went up to the hobby shop, and I remember Googling and being like, oh, there's this place literally about 60 seconds, 1 minute walk away. I walked up there and I was like, hey man, I'd love to talk about FPV. Do you have any FPV kits? Do you have any FPV drones? Blah, blah, blah. I asked him all these questions about it. And unfortunately, the dude behind the counter could not give two hoots about it. He said, no one's really doing that. There's no real community about FPV drones around here. They're a bit of a waste of time. What you want to do is get one of these big planes here. It was like some big gas plane, or I don't know, nitro plane, whatever it was. It was huge. It was expensive. And most of all, it looked really dangerous. And he's like, nah, you're going to have to start your own community, mate, if you want to just do FPV. And then I kind of went home. I was a bit bummed. I thought, you know what, maybe we'll do that. And then here we are 4 years later. So if someone tells you FPV is silly, don't listen to them. We've got an amazing community. All right. Luke Phillips is saying, thank you for tagging me as well. You got me into FPV. Thank you so much. My micro USB port is not working on my Tyrannus X Lite. Any idea why? So two things are coming to mind. Number one, hopefully you just got a broken USB cord, so make sure you check that out. Number two, maybe you have a broken USB port on your Tyrannus, and I would say one thing I would do, you can actually open up the Tyrannus, take the battery out, pop out the button battery that is inside your Tyrannus as well, let it just rest for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, plug it all back in, try it again, try it on a different USB port on the computer, and if that is not the case, well, it's probably, I'm going to say, broken. Is it recognizing it at all? Because if you're getting some sort of connection and your Windows is saying, yep, there's something that's just not working with your Sims, well, then at least that's a start. We know the USB is not broken. Otherwise, there is also an issue when it comes to the latest, I think it might have been on Velocidrone or Liftoff, where it wasn't registered. I remember when I did the video with, can't remember his handle, but his name was Gabe. He came over, we flew some of the tracks, we're flying around, and we did some fast lap times. But my USB wasn't working on my Tyrannus or on his Tyrannus, because Windows had done an update as well. So there is something in there that can brick based on the updates. But if you just Google Betaflight or Tyrannus USB update Windows 10, maybe that might be your solution as well. So three things there: broken radio, broken cable, or Windows update. They would be my three main guesses. All right. Dylan P, you at UAV Futures, drone recommendations for someone who's flown countless cheap drones but wants to get into FPV racing. Yes, the Nazgul, which we tried to search for before, so I should just have this on a separate window because it's going to come up so much. Nazgul 5, 4S, 5S, 6S. Oh look, it's finally coming up. So that's this one right here. So it looks like it's gone up in price actually, which is unfortunate. Sometimes you can get these for about 200 for about 160, $70. But this is what I'd buy if I was just getting into the hobby in terms of I want a good drone that's going to last me. I'm going to be able to do everything I want to do with it. I'm going to be able to even try a little bit of racing, a little bit of freestyle. It's going to have plenty of power. It works out of the box. There's no hassles, all that sort of stuff, and it comes with a receiver. Well, there you go. Bob is your uncle. Ben's in here. iFlight X Titan DC5 DJI. I'm not too sure what these might be referencing to the one we googled before at the start of the video. Let's have a look. Jeff PV, I'm so glad you're doing legit live streams now. I can't even get into how important the channel has impacted my life. Oh, thanks so much, brother. That is, like I know I mention this a lot in my streams, but it's because it is the number one thing that I care about. It is about FPV changing people's lives. So I know, remember when I did this, we should actually watch one of these amazing videos that we did. I'm going to play this. Shout out to Spoony J and Enoch and those other Tiger people. But the impact that FPV can have on people's lives is amazing. It did change my life in such a profound, important, positive way. That's what I want other people to experience as well. And these amazing flying little robots do that for me. So if other people can get in and enjoy that as well, that's the whole mission of my channel. And because that can, I'm so happy, Jeff, that can do that to you as well, because it really is next level. It's so special. Just talking about who would think that, 5 years later, thinking, talking, interacting about these little things every single day of my life. Like, what's that? 1,000 days, 1,500 days in a row of these little things. I still love them just as much. All right. So, you know what? Speaking of that, I'm going to show you a really cool video which everybody needs to see. I ran a little competition probably about a year ago, FPV. I need to actually YouTube this. FPV changed my life, and this was the winner here. And shout out to Spoony J and Westside for doing this. Check this video out. I don't know how much. I'm sure they won't copyright strike me, but let's turn this sound up. I'm going to be still answering some questions as well, but this video here was really, really impacted me just from watching it back. So this is an amazing video here. Everybody should go and watch this video. So if you Google drones changed my life, the amount of editing, the amount of work, the story that we all have here, it is, I'm going to tell everyone, I'm not going to watch the whole thing because I don't want the stream to just sit around and not answering all those questions. I want to interact.
And this is my story.
But this is one of the best videos you can watch about FPV changing people's lives. And the beauty is, this is just a really well captured story that is told well with some great editing and a great, I guess, cameraman behind the scenes and good characters. But it is so reflective of so many pilots out there. A lot of pilots have been in these situations and felt like this. And this isn't a unique story. It is just told really, really well in this scenario. So you're going to notice there's a lot of pilots out there that I know feel the same way as the people as Westside and as Spoony J in this story. So go watch this video as well. Okay, let's have a look here. So thanks very much, Jeff, for giving me that positive feedback. Maud Horst is saying, I'm still in the process of getting used to the crazy view of the DJI system. Absolutely. Good afternoon from California. Can I fly 6S quads with a 4S battery? What needs to be changed before flying? Nothing. You can absolutely take a 6S quad, throw a 4S pack on there, zip around. I've done that countless times. Sometimes when I want to test something after I've done my first parts of the reviews, I don't have enough 6S packs, so there's some other things I still want to test. I can still test the range. There's a few things you can check out by. It doesn't need to be a 6S pack just to fly a 6S drone. It does mean you're not going to have as much power, in the top end when you go full throttle because it's waiting for that 6S voltage, but you still can test it absolutely. So if you want to get into the 6S, if you decided that's what you want to move into, but you've still got a lot of 4S batteries, don't worry, you can still put them on there. You're just not going to have the top end power that you would if you had a 6S quad on there, but it is in no way going to damage your quad whatsoever. Mike Mod at UAV Futures. So I got a Tiny Hawk 2 about 3 weeks ago. I've put about 25 to 30 packs on it now, and it's developed a stutter. It will drop 6 to 12 inches, then usually catch itself. What could be causing this? So uh, I think you should probably check the little voltage connection in your battery. So when you're plugging it in, make sure there's no loose pins or anything like that. So make sure it's a nice snug connection so you're not getting any voltage drops or sags. And also check the motors, take them out. Is there any hair wound around them? Even though I guess is it getting snagged on anything? And it might just also be a faulty motor, possibly, because I have one Tiny Hawk where that does seem to do it on older packs. It's only at the end of the voltage, just like a, and it is quite, that's the technical term. It is quite tricky to fly that thing around, but also check your batteries. Is it only happening on certain batteries? Is there one pack when it's getting to a low voltage? And if all else fails, reflash it, put new props on it, and see if you can fix it that way by updating it. Update everything and see if you've still got the same issue, because then you're going to find out, is it hardware or is it software? All right. It's mind-boggling. That's from Mort. He's still talking about DJI. Yes, it absolutely is. When you put it on, it does change quite a lot of things. All right. And other people saying they'll get it when they put their pennies together. Clive coming here from Indonesia, so well done. A bit, I think it's, how do you say that? Bahasa Indonesia. I'm not too sure. But thank you so much for tuning in from there. All right. So Younger Buckets wants to know at UAV Futures. I know it's not FPV related, but what computer do you have? Like a gaming PC or just a workstation? So this is something that I wish I could have changed back in the day, but I had to make the best of the situation. So in the house where I started UAV Futures and we're making content, it was a really small house. We had to convert the lounge room into like the office storage space place to run UAV Futures, and a huge shout out to my wife for letting me do that. I don't know how many other people's better halves would say, yep, here you go, take out, you're in a small house, you want the lounge room, just do yours, put drones up all over the walls. I think most people would be told, nope, that's not going to be happening. But my wife's always been really supportive, and yeah, we turned the lounge room into the UAV Futures studio. We even had a small baby in the house as well, so it was very, very packed. We didn't have anywhere to watch TV. The couch was in the kitchen. It was kind of cozy and cute looking back on it. Really, really fond memories there. But anyway, we got a laptop because I actually wanted a desktop, but there was no way we had any room. That was how I had one table like this to do everything on. That was including building and a bit of filming, and I had to have a laptop. So this entire UAV Futures channel is run off a laptop, but fortunately, it is a fairly decent laptop. But I'd say for anybody out there, I wish I had a desktop. If I had a big desktop, it would be so much cooler. It'd be so much quieter. I'd be much happier. I could upgrade it a lot easier. But yeah, currently I have a laptop down there. But it's a pretty beast laptop. I think it's got like a 1080 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM, i7. So it does the job pretty well. But again, it's still just a laptop, so it gets very, very hot. Okay, so, Sam Godfrey. Why does that name sound so familiar? And he is saying, do you think I could mount an Insta360 Go on my trash can? I've been looking for a way to add HD to it recently, and and Insta360 just brought out FPV mode on the go. Okay, let me have a Google here, because my Insta, let's have a look how small this is. Oh, okay, it looks very, very little. Okay, it's tiny. Let's have a look. This looks pretty cool. Uh, Come on, just give me video guys. Okay, let's have a look at the video guys, Australia. Here it is. That's this bad boy right here. So, could you mount this to your trash can? Yes, but it's probably going to be very, very top heavy. Like if you look at the size of this thing, it looked about, I don't know, this big from some of the pictures that I saw of people holding it up, and overall it's going to be very, very top heavy. I don't know if it's going to. You probably could do it, but it's going to need a serious custom TPU mount. Alrighty. Let me scroll down. Oh, David Jelly, thank you so much for my second super chat for the day. Let's have a look. Answer your question. Back from Denver. It's 8 p.m. I'm working on a defunct fan quad build right now. Have you ever played with the idea? You know, something that I really did want to do, David, was like a ducted fan drone that was only one like fan in the middle that was controlled by, I don't know what you call it, thrust vectoring, but I was starting to, I know some things about it, like it needs a motor, it needs a fan, it needs some ducts. Do I know anything about the coding, scientific, blah, 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 like big sciencey words right here? Do I know anything about that? No. And I quickly learned that that project was not for me. I definitely want to try something out. It would be really cool if I could get the plans and just put one together. And I even said to Wingman, Long Range Tony, can you help me build this? And he said, yeah, we were kind of looking into the idea. But it would be really cool to have like a thrust vector rocket that would just hover around. One channel I love is it might be B, BPS rockets or something along those lines. And well, when I say I love something that pops up in my YouTube feed a few times, I'll definitely check it out. That's he makes some amazing rockets. All right. But yes, I would love to build something like that. I just don't know. I got definitely distracted there. You can tell I'm excited about it, but I do not have the technical knowledge in order to build some of those thrust vectoring rocket quads. All right. And if we're talking about other ducted fans ones, David, well, I guess you got the Cine B, Cine Whoops, Cine quads as well that have those. So I've never built one myself, but I have flown plenty, and them those ones are more made for filming as well. But thank you very much for that super chat, brother. Very much appreciated, especially in times like this too, when it's very hard to get outside and go flying. Okay. Man, Jeff FPV, another one. Thank you very much. 8 p.m. in Washington State. What core temperature in my OSD should I start to worry? If it's sitting on the bench and it's getting really, really hot, and shout out to Donnie as well, who's throwing in a super chat there as well. Thank you very much, brother. Very much appreciated. But Jeff, I would say if it's sitting on your bench and it's getting up around 80 degrees, 90 degrees, especially if it's got a VTX near it, that is probably normal, but it's not optimal. It's not good practice to be sitting there. If you are flying around and the drone is, ripping through the air and it's still getting up to that 80, 90 degrees, then that might be a problem. But most of the time, you should notice if there's a lot of airflow over the top of it, it should be around 50, maybe 50 degrees, somewhere around that. But if it's getting around the 90 degrees and you're flying through the air, that's when I would start to be a little bit concerned. So hopefully that answers your question. What temperature are you getting anyway, Jeff? Hopefully it's not getting up there too high. And what drone is it on as well? If it's on a big 5-inch, you have a little bit more space to dissipate that heat. If it's a smaller craft, well then of course that's a lot more heat in a smaller area as well, which is never a good thing. You want as much heat dissipation as possible, whether that be through the airflow or whether that be through even a larger surface area to dissipate that heat. Yeah, I sound like an engineer right there. No, just a school teacher. All right, David, again, he's saying, and I'm an aero engineer. It's been a challenging project. All the parts and the motors and servos are 3D printed. I'll keep you posted on the progress. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's really cool. When you start to build a craft that's moving things around, controlling that thrust vectoring, please definitely do, and send me some videos as well. I'd love to know. Maybe we could do a collab. Maybe you could do all the hard work and the research and the science, and then I could just do what every larger entity seems to do in this world, and just take the video and share the idea to the public. But definitely that could be a lot of fun. And of course, we'll go full credit back to you. Speaking of videos, I want to give a shout out to Carlos, because in my last video, our last live stream, he had this question, and this is where it lets me know that we have been helping people. It's great to have a bit of positive feedback as well when people not only ask me questions, but then they come back and say, yeah, thank you so much for the results. And he was saying, hey, I'm getting some stability issues on my craft when I'm flying around with the GoPro. I don't know what it is. He tried all these different TPU mounts, and I was like, hey, have you tried turning off your stabilization on your GoPro 6? and it turned out that actually was the issue. And he sent me a video here where he was flying around with it off, and he was getting a few little sort of jittery marks and stuff like that as well. And then he did one where he put the test, he did like a take two somewhere where he tested it off and showed me the results of what it was like when he turned his stability off and said it was a bit better, but then he was able to notice his tune a bit more when he was flying. So I want to give a big shout out to him. I can't remember what his handle was, what he was using in the live stream, but I am so glad that that helped you. And thank you for giving me that feedback to let me know that my videos helped you as well. Dylan P. So thank you for tuning in, brother. And he is saying, thoughts on the Emax Tiny Hawk 2? What I meant was I've flown countless cheap drones, like cheap $20 to $50 drones, but I'm leaning towards the Emax Tiny Hawk 2. Okay, so you want to spend, I guess, like an entry level. I would say I prefer the normal Emax Tiny Hawk, or another really good one is but it might be tricky to track this down, is the Mobula 6. And especially tricky to track it down when it doesn't even come up in Google. Happy model Mobula 6. Oh man, what is going on here? Mobula 6. Let's try that straight to Google. This one was a lot of fun. I really, really like this drone here. So I don't know why that's in Australian dollars, but here we go. This little bad boy, definitely check this one out, or just get the original Tiny Hawk. The Tiny Hawk 2, not the biggest fan. It just had some limitations where had some okay ideas, but I felt like it didn't live up to the hype. So yeah, get the Tiny Hawk, get the Tiny Hawk Mob 6, or one was the Skip 3 from Gep RC. If you want to do a bit of HD recording going outside a little bit more, which was this bad boy right here. All right, let's jump in here. I do have to answer Nick's question in a second. We have, so this was this is also another good one. What's going on here? This bad boy. So that one but that has a lot more power. It's definitely very different to to the Tiny Hawk. So that's the ones I would be recommending over the Tiny Hawk 2. Radio. Nick, thank you very much for another super chat, brother. Very much appreciated. To answer your question, so I just purchased the drone and goggle set. I'll buy the DJI radio later. What battery do you recommend for that drone? So do you mean can you just refresh my memory there, Nick? Please let me know for was it the DC Titan that you got? So I'm going to wait. I'm just going to put that, please post that again. And so we can come back and answer that. Please let me know what drone it was. If it's a DC Titan, we definitely can jump in, have a look at some battery questions as well. All right. And I am answering everybody's questions, but I am making sure that I will answer these super chats first because I don't want them to disappear because they're on a bit of a timer as well. At UAV Futures, do you have a preference between 4-in-1 ESCs or individuals, and why? All right, and then we're going to jump back and answer Nick's question. And thank you so much, Chris, for that super chat as well. Hugely appreciated. I actually prefer a 4-in-1 for the simple reason that it is easier to build. I can just put it in your stack, solder it up, it's ready to go. If I need to change some motor wires or something, often they don't have any heat shrink over them like your ESCs might often do, or some little protectors. And I just think it is easier. But for heat dissipation on your arms, it works better. If you're worried about a really, really tight build, you can put them on your arms. But most of the time, 4-in-1s now have become so much more reliable. Back in the day, and I'm talking like, I'm so old, 2017, back in the day, 2016, when we were flying, 4-in-1 ESCs were super expensive, and also you ran the risk. ESCs would just burn out so much more than what they do today. So I can't even remember the last time I burned out an ESC, but back in the day, you'd almost burn them out pretty much every weekend when you went out. But now they're so much more reliable. You don't have to replace an entire 4-in-1 all the time. You very rarely have to replace an ESC, which was a big limitation for a lot of people, that if one of the ESCs in a 4-in-1 went out, well, then you had to replace the whole lot. Nowadays, that's not the case. So I think 4-in-1 is just easier. It's lighter. It just has a little bit less heat dissipation than if they're on the arms. But also, they are protected then from your prop strikes as well. So you don't have to worry about, them getting chopped up. If you hit a tree, your prop bends down and slices the top of the ESC, well, it's not going to break. So I would say go 4-in-1 all the way. Nick, did you get the 6S version of the Titan? So I'm going to say, let's hypothetically say you did. I would be looking at, if you had a 6S version of the DC Titan, let's have a look at a 1300 6S LiPo battery. Let's see what we can find. Let's change this to USD dollars. But Stuart, you are in Australia. Yeah, but my audience is international. So settle down, people. Everybody knows the value of the US dollar to their local currency. Nobody knows it to the Australian dollary dues, which is the technical name for our dollar. Okay, so this is probably a good pack for that. So Tattoo makes some fantastic quality batteries. I don't know why the R lines are so much more expensive right here at a $26 to a $34 mark, but definitely China Hobby Line. If you ask from my personal experiences with China Hobby Line, we haven't had the best experience when it comes to me flying around, Grumpy Trev flying around. And I know Malice Vex, big shout out to one of my mates there. He bought, I think it was 10 China Hobby Line batteries about 3 months ago, maybe on their last sale, maybe it was 4 months ago. Every single one of those is dead bar one. So he had to buy some new batteries. We were shopping around with him last night, Googling some things. So the cell reliability of the China Hobby Lines that we have tested, and I'm not saying other people have had, bad or good experiences. All I'm saying from personal experience, China Hobby Lines seem to be really good value, but they fail after a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. These batteries here, if you could pick these up for 26 bucks, I think you would enjoy that. That's if you've got the 6S version. If you've got the 4S version of the Titan, Nick, I'm not too sure if they make the 4S version, but then I would say something like a 1500 4S. So you want to get something that has around the 1300, because we're running 6S, and some people say that's a bit of a big battery for a 6S quad. Yes, you're right, but the DC Titan is made of more of a cinematic, like freestyle cruiser, where you don't need it to be ultra light. You really want the extra flight times when it comes to that type of craft, and this battery is going to be perfect. And that's a fairly good reputable brand as well. They seem to, a lot of people enjoy those ones. Alrighty, let's answer some more questions here. Radio. And Raven is also saying, if I don't happen to answer your question directly in this stream, or we're not on live, also remember there is the Discord link up somewhere, which in the description. Every night we're on there talking about FPV. You can jump in there, answer your questions. Check it out. There's probably people in there chit-chatting now. So here we go. We got some. Jump in here. You can drop your questions in general chat. Share your vids. We've got new pilot stuff here. We've got someone. What do we got here? I'll look through my eyes what Miklo FPV is having a look at. We've got a fixed wing chat, micro quad chat, a whole bunch of things. There's probably, I think where's general help chat as well. That should be somewhere in here. So if you need some help for some builds, you can put some questions in there, jump in. People often chat in these voice channels. So all in all, if you haven't checked out Discord, or you're new, go and do it. It's a fantastic place. I've made some amazing friends in there, and yeah, just all around a good time. So definitely go check that out. But back to answering some questions. Alrighty-o. And Mr. Andy Jones, ESC, thank you very much for that super chat as well, brother. I'm going to answer your question before that timer disappears, and then we're going to jump back, and I'm going to try and answering. We've got like Matthew Smith's questions, maybe some of Lewis's, that sort of stuff. Do you use Expo on your quads with low throttle bottom end? I have a blast watching you and the gang hanging out, having a blast. Keep it up. You know what? I feel like I don't use very much Expo on my throttle whatsoever. The biggest thing I tend to do when it comes to throttle management is, when I used to like going really, really fast, actually changing my camera angle up. So tilting it more aggressively meant that you had more thrust coming out the back, and it made it easier to manage my altitude. So if I was having it where the camera was extremely flat, it's very hard to have almost a stable hover, because you have so much thrust coming out the bottom of your craft. But most of the time, no, zero Expo, I just, balls to the wall, tilt the camera up, absolutely go. And I find it much easier to sort of keep that throttle management. I guess if we're talking throttle management and altitude, or two different things, but that altitude close to the ground, it is easier to keep that when it's at a higher angle. And also, if it's throttle management, most of the time I'm not really down that lower end, because I'm not hovering. It's probably between 50 and 100% all the time, unless I'm doing a sharp hairpin. So when it's down the bottom end, it doesn't really affect me whatsoever. All right, but I am glad. Thank you so much, Mr. Indy Jones. I am so glad that you're enjoying watching it, having a blast, because that's what it's all about, getting out there with your mates. And I also hope that when people are watching this at home and they see me mucking around, goofing around with Grumpy Trev or Wingman Jono, even when we let Jono fly my plane in the park the other day, crashed into the top of the tree. Thank you very much, there, Jono. It's always laughs, and I hope people watch at home and think, yeah. That's what I want to do. I want to go out and fly and muck around with my friends, and I want people to know and feel that we are just like you guys. We are just a bunch of dudes with some silly RC toys in the park, flying around, having fun. There is nothing special about what we do. All we do is point a camera at it and bring it to you guys. So we are exactly like you. We can't stress that. We can't stress that enough. We are not the top echelon FPV sponsored racing pilots making the big bucks or whatever they're doing. We're not on televised TV and with all these other things going on, people organizing stuff. We're the same, just everyday pilots like you who enjoy this hobby and fly for fun, get together with your friends. So I'm glad that that's coming across as well. All right, we were going to answer, if I just scroll up a little bit here. Lewis is saying, stop acting like you know what you're talking about, Stu. Well, maybe, mate. We'll tune into your channel next week. We'll see what's going on there. Matthew Smiley's Aviation Center. Hey, Stu, would you recommend the B-Flight 210 for a second drone? And what battery would you use? I would not recommend that anymore because it's about 3 years old. Get the Nazgul iFlight. It's probably about the same price, and it's going to perform much better. It's got things like proper smart audio in there. It's just an updated drone, more reliable motors. You're just going to have a much better time. So please, I wouldn't recommend the B-Flight 210. I would recommend the iFlight Nazgul. Chad Hollis is saying China Hobby Line have been good lately, but questionable. Well, maybe they had a bad batch or something in their latest sale. Nick Malden, FPV. You're awesome. Thanks for your help, brother. No worries. It is my pleasure. Okay. Uh, Ben saying Stu knows this stuff. We've got, could I buy old FPV goggles from you? That's from John. Nope, sorry, brother. That's not how it works. Alex Wall was the I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Um, he just wants D8 mode. He must be talking about some of his older older receivers there. Just answered Matthew Smiley's question. I want a 5-inch so much. Yeah, so definitely try out that Nazgul, my friend. You will enjoy it. All right. Try to answer this. Sirix1. So if you want me to answer your question, Sirix, make sure you put a little at UAV Futures there or send me a super chat because that highlights the chat up if it's a super chat or the little tag with that UAV Futures. That shows up in orange as well. So in that wall of text, I get to see when it tags my name. It makes it much easier to answer those questions. How long have you been flying FPV? How many quads do you own? Which is your favorite? What's one question that you're trying to figure it out? I'll try to answer it. Okay, so one question for you guys. I want to know what is your single fondest memory of FPV out of all of them? How long have I been flying FPV? Uh, maybe about 5 years, 2015. I'm sure if we have a look at my old videos, this seems to come up all the time, but that gives me a good indication of your videos. Sort by oldest. What do we got here? 4 years ago. So, but it could be more. Could be closer to 5. Okay, so this was June 2015. So that's coming up pretty much on coming up to 5 years is when my first one was published. And I was flying for a little bit before that, about probably 2 weeks or so before that. What else? How many quads do I own? If we're talking all of them, like little micros and silly toy ones, it would definitely be 100 plus. But big proper 5 inches, that's not the majority. Most of them would be little toy ones and those sorts of little whoops that get pulled apart for other projects. And there's quite a few smashed ones as well, which I definitely need to kind of cannibalize and fix up. What's my favorite? If I could only ever have one to fly, it'd probably be my Banggood Catalyst Machine Works DJI system one. As at the moment, I just really like flying that. In terms of favorite for fond memories, it's probably my Cattle's Machine Works America. I really feel like that was a drone where I could fly around and just push my skill limits, and I was really into track flying. Or the Diatone GT2 as well. When we first saw that in about 2017, it was the most insane quad we had. We'd never seen a quad go anywhere near that fast. It was absolutely ridiculous. Okay, Drew T. Oh, so many questions here. I got way too sidetracked in that nostalgic type of part. Okay. Let me have where are we at? Okay, I pushed scroll down and now I've kind of lost your question. I'm sorry, Drew. Please type yours in again there, Drew. Uh, Joshua Fallon at UAV Futures. While in lockdown, I'm wanting to learn on an FPV sim. Should I wait to get the Tango 2? No, where seems to have them in stock, or get a different radio? This is a tricky question. Everybody wants a Tango 2. But because of the corona, I have no idea how these shipments are going with those. They are very, very tricky. Just Google as many different places as you can. Email TBS, ask Trappy if you could send me an email, let me know. I'll send Trappy a message later and just say, hey man, where can people get them from? I'll tune in for tomorrow's live stream and I'll see if I can get an answer for you. All right. You could also, if you wanted to just have Crossfire though, you can get the Crossfire system and use it in external radios, but the Tango 2 is just such a nice radio. So, I don't know, but you can still learn on the sim. Just, it's not the same with an Xbox controller or anything like that. You definitely really need to have your the radio that you're using. It does make a huge difference. Nikita Dubrovsky. Hey, hope you're doing well. Follow up to yesterday's question. Thank you for tuning in 2 days all in one. My ESCs are separate. Also, I have a DSMX transmitter. Thank you. So I'm not too sure about using that radio, but just something like that. You know, $30, Omnibus F4. There you go. Going to be so much better than a CC3D, which is that's probably about 5 years ago. All right, Carlos D. All right, thanks for tuning in. That's the guy we answered yesterday's question about the GoPro stabilization from yesterday. I need some help with my PID. You can see the low end, how the quad shivers when coming in from a dive. So that's a bit of prop wash there. Now that might be a little bit to do with your filtering. Maybe I'm going to say I am not, and I'll be the first to admit, a tuning expert by any means. You could try lowering some of the P's just a little bit, but I think most of that is going to be in your filtering when it comes to prop wash. And make sure you're updated to the latest Betaflight. Do I know enough about filtering to give you the correct advice with that part? No. Why? Because if I give you advice and it doesn't go well, there is the risk of people burn out ESCs or motors when they mess around with their filtering too much. So I'm going to say I'm not 100% sure. It could be something to do with your filtering, but I don't know which part of that filtering to sort of point you in the right direction. So that's sorry, I can't help you with today's question, Coles. But I'm so glad that turning off that stabilization definitely helped in yesterday's video, yesterday's live stream. Okay, Josh. He's asked. We answered that Tango 2 radio question. Nikita. Oh, we just answered that one as well. Man, I'm smashing through these questions. Josh Collins, what's a normal weight for a 5-inch with a GoPro and a 3S? What size GoPro? Maybe like, and a 3S is quite small. That can really vary because this one, I think this whole quad is only about 250 grams. So I'm going to say a normal racer though, or a normal freestyle drone with a GoPro session and a 3S, 500 grams. I guess 3S is a little bit smaller. Most of them are using 4S packs now, or moving up to 6S. All right, let's keep scrolling down. All right, Finland Maluvani is asking, what battery should I use for my $99 build? Well, that's a 4S build, so we want to have a look at. Let's have a look at 4S, and if we have a look at our lipos here. Here we go, 4S lipo battery. Let's see what we've got. So what we're looking at, and the reason I just typed in 4S is because they're going to give us a whole big range of different size batteries and different voltages and different C ratings. We can do some learning together. You really want to get something, I think around the 1400 milliamp hours is the sweet spot. Make sure it's 4S. and try to have it, because that's what that build is rated for. Some builds are 6S, so then you'd be choosing a 6S battery instead. And but we're just going to be talking about 4S. So I think 1400 milliamps is around the sweet spot for me when it comes to a 4S battery. We want to have a highest C rating as possible, and bonus points if it's a reputable brand. So if you can Google it and people are saying good things. So some non-reputable brands that I wouldn't trust might be like this Zop Power battery. It's saying a 60C pack. It's probably not the case anyway, but notice if we look here, that is a 5000 milliamp hour pack. So that is too big. So let's have a look here. Let's have a look. So we're looking for something around a 1400. Let's say maybe like a 1500 might be okay. If we have a look here, this one is the Tattoo Fun Fly at $25. That's a 1550. So you're going to get a bit better flight times, but it's also going to make it a little bit heavier, and there's diminishing returns. You can't just put on a 100 kilo battery because you're not going to get the flight time. It's not even going to be able to lift off the ground. It's going to need to still, its weight, power to weight ratio is going to be less because it's heavier, but it's got more juice. So that you need to factor that in. That's why I like the 1400 size. But look, this would be an okay battery. You would get a little bit better flight times because you've got a slightly larger capacity. This one, I have used these Infinity 4S. I know Raven FPVs use these as well. And we're getting a lot of 1500s here. Where's like a 1400? Maybe you just have to straight up type. I think 1300 a lot of people used to like, but I feel like that's a little bit too small. And what's this? Here we go. 21 bucks. What's going on with Tattoo? And that's 120C as well. So there you go. That battery is going to give you plenty of poke. It's going to be nice, small, light, efficient. There's only one piece left. Typical. Okay. Maybe that's why. But yeah, definitely I would recommend this battery. If you had one of those, you wouldn't be complaining anyway. And for that price, it's $21. That's kind of crazy. Okay, let's keep answering some of your questions. Keep them coming in. Let me know what you're doing as well. You having dinner, breakfast, whatever's happening in your life when you're in this lockdown. This stream works both ways, talking to you guys. Jeff PV is saying the Nazgul and its parts are hard to get in the States. The Sedora is a better option here. That might be the case. I think the Sedora is a little bit more expensive though, which is a bit of a shame. I felt like for the price difference, it wasn't quite as value orientated as the Nazgul. Part 3, I'm going the Tyro 99, but after looking at reviews, I realized the camera wasn't very good and had no smart audio, and it wasn't the best fit to carry my GoPro. Definitely, there are better options than the Tyro 99 for the price. Absolutely. All right. Let's have a look here. Lewis Herdado, I've been a patron of yours for 2 years now. Thank you so much, brother. That's going back quite a way. Thank you so much for sticking with me for 2 years. I just like Josh and people. No Bardwell pun intended. No problem, brother. Throw all the puns you like in here. Alrighty, Russell Wolf has given me an at UAV Futures. That's from the Santa Claus man right there. And I will give a shout out to Raven FPV, who, besides just generally being a nice person, also has some amazing FPV puns. So I'm going to challenge Raven to throw in some good puns as well here about FPV. All right, Matthew Similes Aviation Center says, at UAV Futures, I would like a racing drone. What is the best racing drone you would recommend? I love your channel, dude. So I need clarification on what is best. So we're saying best racing drone. If you just want to win a race, probably something from Catalyst Machine Works. This is a custom. I know I keep talking about this, and I promise the video is coming soon. But this is a custom build from Catalyst Machine Works. It's probably very, very pricey. Only for this is what you'd take to a race. But the special thing about this is this canopy, which I think is about like $50, $60 alone just for this. This canopy is doing some really cool stuff. It's a whole video coming on it. But from impressions, and I haven't flown it yet, so I can only speculate, but a Catalyst Machine built craft with this is probably going to set some records. So I can't, and some of the new X Nova motors, which are just, it's going to be special. I just need to get outside and fly this thing around. So this right here, stay tuned, is going to be turning a lot of heads, and also Anything from Cuddles Machine Works, if you want racing, they sell some bind and flies. They are the number one, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to racing. Cuddles Machine Works are the number one brand of racing. And on the other side, on the freestyle, it's Armaton. Those two are not only amazing companies, are run by amazing people who treat their pilots and their community like it's their family. They have really good customer relations. Cuddles Machine Works is spot on with their customer support. You will find hardly any net. I'm guaranteed for people to Google it, you will find their customer experience is absolutely top notch. Armaton, same story, and Armaton offers a warranty as well. So whether it be racing or freestyle, those two people, those two companies, and those two what they do for the community, they are the gold standards of our community. We need more companies to do business like them. So if you want the best racing, go look at Catalyst Machine Works. We want to have a look at their frames, or they also do bind and flies, but you're going to pay for it. I think Catalyst Machine Works put theirs together in the US. I don't know where their carbon's manufactured, but I know, yeah, it's a US-based company as well. Okay. What's its name? 08. Hey, Stu, love your stuff. New to the drone scene. I was wondering, is there anything I need to do when flying in Oz radio? So this goes back to, you're talking about registrations of your aircraft, all that different stuff. I would say I don't comment on any of those things, but you do need to go and contact your local flying club and find out, there's different things depending on what your council registrations or restrictions, all that sort of stuff are. Go check with your local club and find out. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. That just doesn't go for here as well. It goes for any wherever you're flying around. Please, always follow the local guidelines, laws, all that sort of stuff. Let's scroll down here. John Castle, if you were to get a second drone and you only had a 5-inch, what would you do? Okay, so this might help some people. Everybody out there, let's pretend we have our 5-inch drone. It's flying around, and you think, gee, what's the next type thing I'd probably get a Mobula 6. Why? I can fly it indoors when it's raining. It gives me a totally different perspective on what I'm going to be flying around with. Flying around these small little whoops, it's not about going fast. It really is just about having that fun indoors, in your house, under the table, through the kitchen, in a tiny little office space. So yeah, I'd probably get a Mobula 6 as my second choice drone. Why? Because it offers such a different flying perspective. Okay. So I scrolled down too far. Let's have a look here. Some more questions from MH Chopper 4. Heard anything about the Radio T16S coming out? I have not. I've had a few emails about it, but I don't have any extra details. I pretty much expect it to be very similar to the jumper. Bruce Kenny, UAV Futures, just wanted to say hello. So hello, thank you for tuning in to the stream, brother. I'm glad you're here. It's good to have you, and I hope you're enjoying it and helping some people get through this time. If you might be stuck indoors, it's good just to chat FPV. Even if we can't be out in the field flying, we can still be here talking. And of course, a Discord plug. If you want to jump in live and chat to some people, Discord is a great place to do that. Talk all things FPV. All right. Broja. Man, I'm sorry, I'm really bad at names. Do you need a micro SD card to use a Tyrannus X9 Lite S? You know what? I don't know, actually. If they don't come with one, and you turn one on and it's not in there, does it work? You know, I can't actually answer that question. I would say it probably works without one, and I don't know where you're from, but if you're in this hobby, you probably can. I know it'll work on a 2 gigabyte SD card as well, so it's probably like $3, so you can just throw one of those in there. You should have one as well anyway, because it'll give you the sound packs and all that sort of stuff, but it should work without it, but you still should have one in there with all the sound files and all that sort of stuff on there. All right, I can see Ben answering some questions. Thanks so much, Ben. Very much appreciate your support and help in here as well. There are a few other receivers. This is great when other people are helping out other people as well, answering it in the chat. That's what I like to see, all in this together. Bruce Kenny, hello, Stu. Hey, Bruce. Okay, Lewis is asking, have I ever used any JHE MCU products? I got a 30 amp whoop all in one from them. It was only $30. Couldn't resist. Nope, I have not used those. All right. Matthew Smiley's Aviation Center is asking again. I want to get into racing. What's the? Oh, didn't we just answer that? I think that's it. I'll show you what the Catalyst Machine Works ones looks like actually. Catalyst Machine Works. Here we go. That's these boys right here. I don't know what's going on. Are you new to FPV? Yes. Looking for a custom built bind and fly? Straight from the factory. So this must all be new. What else have we got here? All right. They do some big X-Class stuff as well. So they're really going for... What happens if I click on this? Are you new to FPV? Yes. Oh, okay. 2.5. Sponsored by... Not this isn't sponsored by, but it feels like it. But let's check it out. The Catalyst Machine Works beginner package ready to fly. So you get some Fat Sharks, 2 packs, an X-Lite radio, a cheap charger. What is this? A backpack. What is this red thing up there? Battery, charger, props. That must be props. That's got to be the props. Oh no, they're the props. Let me know if you can see it as well. Recon, battery, 3S, X-Lite battery, charger, travel bag. I don't know what that is. Yeah, there's our batteries. What is that? Can someone tell me what that Spider-Man looking thing is? Alright, I don't know what this... Aha, that's your battery charger for your X-Lite, I believe. So you can put your X-Lite batteries in here, which are these little batteries down here. They're the same batteries I use, actually. Back when I used to like X-Lite. How much is this? I'm going to guess 500 bucks. Oh, it's sold out. Don't worry, boys. Sorry if I got everybody excited. All right, jumping back to a question. Thank you very much from FPV Spin. Oh, this is nice. This is a super chat. Thank you so much, brother. It is hugely appreciated, especially in this time. But it's not even it's not even a question for saying, help me fix this or diagnose this problem. Just someone just to say thank you for all you do for the community. I've watched your channel for about 4 years. Top stuff, mate. Will we see Cal back on the channel? So we'll answer that bit first. Cal, definitely, I speak to him all the time, but he is flat out with work. He was overseas a little bit while ago, so he took some leave off. So now he's kind of got to work those hours back off for working for the man. But he still does come down, but most of the time we just go for a skate or go for the movies or just hang out, muck around. He doesn't come down on the weekends quite so much with his job, so which is usually the time when I'm going out flying out. But Cal, we definitely should get him back on the speed gun, especially for something like this, because this one is a bit of a special occasion. But the big part I want to say there is thank you so much for that feedback, because I do this stuff for you because I love, like I keep saying, I love this hobby. I love people getting flying, and it's watching it for about 4 years. That's almost as old as my channel is. So if you've been watching for that long and you still enjoy this content and enough to, even do a super chat and say thank you for what I do 4 years later, that lets me know that I'm having an impact on people's lives and sharing this message of FPV, changing their lives in a positive way and giving something back to this community, which has already given so much back to me. So I don't know. That's thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you very much. Okay, we're getting a bit sentimental here. FPV Spin. Practice RC. Have you ever raced at any races? Nope. Well, I've gone to some races, but have I ever actually officially competed? I have not. I'd probably get way too anxious, I think. And also, one thing that I dislike about races is the waiting around. So if you crashed, I guess just, okay, go, you crash, and then you got to wait till your race is up again. So that waiting around for other people to have a go would probably stress me out when back in the day, I used to take about 80 lipos out in probably the 2018 summer, and just do pack after pack after pack. There's no way you're going to get through 80 lipos at a race. But Granger seems to really like it. He's into that competitive scene. Excuse me. Gee, and he says he gets about 10 packs through or so. Now, what we're going to do right now, I'm going to throw a video up. Let's have a look at one of Granger's latest videos. Granger FPV. And tips and tricks to get better. Well, it must be his channel. Here it is. 1.6k subscribers. Man, he's blowing up. He's famous. He's called this one Virus. So from here we go. The 2019 FIA World Drone Championship. So this is when he represented Australia and he went over and flew. This is some of his DVR little comp, I believe. This goes for a minute 30. So I'm going to quickly duck to the loo. Then I will be back while I play this. I've drunk too much soda water. So let's minus here and then I will be back. So thanks for my little break here, Granger, for my interim. Grab yourself a cup of coffee. I'll meet you back here in 90 seconds. This is when he went to China. I should probably turn the sound up as well, just so I can get a copyright strike.
Sunset high and our bodies low. Blood rush in a hazy glow. My hands, the bones. Loose up, we break the scene. One step deep as you fall to me. Hot clap, we skip a beat. Count 1, 2, 3. Don't you stop the music, get into it. Won't you dance with me? Find a place and lose it. You can do it. Won't you dance with me? Move your feet and feel it in the space between. You gotta give yourself a moment. Let your body be. As we get down in the road below, caught up in an overflow. My hands, your bones, wide-eyed, you look at me. Set on fire until the dream. Spin around, you can feel the breeze. Count 1, 2, 3. And don't you stop the music, get into it. Won't you dance with me? Find the pace and lose it. You can do it. Won't you dance with me? Move your feet and feel it in the space between. You gotta give yourself a moment. Let your body be. We gotta lose it, 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 we gotta lose it.
Oh, I thought I'd make it. I wonder how long ago that stopped. Radio. Let's jump in. Answer some more questions. That's better. How do I minimize this screen? Okay, so that was Granger over there, answering some more questions. Rebellion Nova, everyone in the community knows about you. It wouldn't be the same without you. So hopefully you mean that in a positive way. But thank you. It's just, people are saying some very nice things. So thank you. Kevin is saying, at UAV Futures, I just wanted to say thank you for the recommendation of Mobula 7. Yesterday, ended up pulling the trigger and buying one. Can't wait to let it rip. Mobula 6 and Mobula 7, they're two different craft. Mobula 6 is more suited to indoor flying around. Mobula 7 is kind of like a little outdoor ripper that is a lot of fun, but still can fly indoors if you convert it to the 1S, because you can run on a 1S or a 2S. But both of those crafts, you're still going to have an awesome time. Happy Model really kills it when it comes to those little craft. The non-HD ones, I should say. All right. Ravens, for some reason, saying Path of Exile. I don't know what he's talking about in there. Do you have any recommendations for beginner kits, cheap ones? The Emax Ready to Fly Tiny Hawk kit is also good. Lewis Kenny is saying, hi, Stu. And remember, if you want me to read out your comment or you've got a question directly for me, please put at UAV Futures, because it makes it so much easier to pop up in the stream of chat. Lewis is saying he loves both the Mobula 6 and Mobula 7. Fast lane RC. So we're going to try and diagnose the problem right here, saying my Mob 6 is binded to my T16 and responds in Betaflight. When I try to fly, the Mob 6 is a solid red light and doesn't fly. Any thoughts what is wrong? So is in the Betaflight tab, let me know, fast lane, is it moving the sticks in the correct order? Is your arm switch correct? All that sort of stuff. And if it is, I would say solid red light, try rebinding it, but also make sure you don't have like what's like turtle mode enabled. Make sure your throttle is all the way down. Check it in the throttle tab. Is it below the minimum arm spec or whatever it needs to be in there? Maybe your what do they call that, the endpoint adjustment or something, because there might be a reason why it's not arming, because it might be. And also recalibrate the gyro, so it might think it's off center. But the solid red light, I'm not too sure. That might mean if it's, I don't get it if it's working in Betaflight and it's responding, but it's not working just when it's on the ground. I'm not too sure what that could be besides, yeah, like those other things. Calibrate your gyro and make sure it's able to enter that arming stage. Team Crash RC. I'm building a 5-inch with 2207s around 210 millimeters and planning on running 5S. Should be getting a 1300, 1800, or 1500. Right. So if you're running 5S, you want to get a 1300. So the others are far too big. 1800 is definitely, it's not going to be very agile with an 1800 5S on there. That is a huge battery. It's like flying around, not quite this big, but an exaggeration. That's like flying around with a brick on there. 1500 is great for a 4S, but when you add that fifth cell on there, that's still a 1500 as well. That's too big. So get a 13, just a 1300 is fine. It doesn't have to be 1330. It could just be a 1300. 1400 is probably too big. Even a 1200 would be good on a 5S. And I think Raven's saying, have you also checked your mapping? Yeah, also check your mapping on the Mob 6. Who was that answering that question for? I can't remember. Fastlane. Yep, everything is set up with endpoints. Okay, thanks for the info. Have you? Yeah, also please check your mapping as well, Fastlane. Jack Chapman, do you have any other hobbies? Have you done other RC hobbies other than quads? And this is what I really like about FPV. No, like RC, when it comes to it, I knew nothing about it. I've never done RC carts. Besides, we might be talking like cheap toys when you're a kid for your birthday, you get something. But I never did anything RC in terms of cars or planes or boats. Um, Never anything really remote controlled. I think might have had like one remote control car as a kid that was like a toy, yeah, from Big W or Walmart. It was probably like $20, $30. And the only other experience I can remember was when I was about 20. And got to give a shout out to one of my mates, Grimo. There was some little craft like this. That was kind of, remember when these little helicopters first became popular and they were like the hottest toy for Christmas? I was like, man, I'm going to buy one of those. Even as an adult, went down. I bought two, one for me and my friend, and I had visions of being able to fly under the under the car and around the garage. And they you can't really do that with this, but it was still challenging. It was still fun when they came with this little dodgy radio. And then here we are. I really liked that, but then that wasn't about till 10 years later. Then I discovered FPV drones and drones in general, and I was like, man, this is where it's at. So no, I had zero experience with it, but that doesn't mean actually I'm getting distracted again. But that is another reason why I love what this hobby does, because of how much it changed. Just these little drones, it opened up this whole world. So also my channel gets you into the hobby and you have zero RC knowledge, zero RC experience, you don't even know where to start. Welcome. Welcome to UAV Futures. Welcome to the hobby. We're here to help. Let's get you flying and enjoying it. Because that's what it was like for me. I just fell in love almost instantly from no RSC experience to where I am today. It's amazing. That's let's just say it's there. Let Latrell Jthra. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Sorry there, brother. I have zero experience with drones. Looking to get an FPV drones and learning to fly. It's almost like it was meant to be. I have $300 US to start with. Will you point me in the right direction? You know what? You are in luck. Check this out. We have this video here. Best beginner FPV setup 300. $300. Let's see what we can discover if we Google that. And look at this bad boy. So a big point too I want to make, if you are watching my videos, please check out the timestamps, because look, this top one that's coming up, that's 3 years old. Here we have a $299 package, perfect for beginners. We get to watch some amazing ads about Norton 360 insurance. Steal your credit card details. Here you go. This one here, we actually have a decent radio that's going to upgrade with you. We have a charger. We have some non-goggles. They're the Hawkeye VR goggles. And we also have, I think the drone we chose was the Tiny Hawk, and also the Lava X if you wanted to do a little bit of an upgrade there. So that's probably my best value. If you had $300 to spend, if you're going to get into the hobby cheaply, this is the best value kit that you can get. So go watch this video. I should be able to post it. I forget that I can post in chat as well. Right, yeah, so there's a video link just there. Go check that out. That will answer all your questions. It was made for people like you to get in and experience this wonderful hobby. Captain Hill 5096. Should I get the Mob 6 or the Tiny Hawk for inside? And thank you for tagging me. Makes my much easier to see when I'm reading out the questions and comments. You should get the Mob 6 for if you're just doing indoors. I really like the Mob 6. I think it depends if you want to. Yeah, I would probably get the Mob 6, but also it depends how much you're going to be crashing. I do feel like the Tiny Hawk is more reliable, so it's you got to choose which one you want more. A better flight experience for me comes from the Mob 6. It's smaller, it can fly in smaller spaces. I find it just more fun. Reliability, the Tiny Hawk. The Tiny Hawk I have crashed so many times. It takes a beating. The frame is really strong as well, so you need to weigh which one of those is more important to you, and based on that finding, then you know which one you should be choosing. Younger buckets. If you have a camera and want to upgrade it, can you just get a new one and solder the wires onto the flight controller? Absolutely. If you've got a quad and you've got a dodgy camera in there, but you kind of like how it's flying to you, one thing I'd like to upgrade is the FPV camera. There is no reason you can't just simply cut the wires or desolder the wires, solder it in your new camera. All you need to check is that it takes the same voltage. So some cameras, older cameras, seem to only run on the big one used to be on 12 volts, but nowadays most cameras will run on a range from like 5 to 24 volts or something. So just check your voltage, make sure that the voltage that's getting fed into your camera from your flight controller is adequate and it's not going to be over the limit or anything like that. And then, yep, it will work absolutely no problems. That's the beauty of our hobby. A lot of our components, you can solder them together, and if the voltages are correct, they're going to work together. All right. Will Edwins at UAV Futures. I have a Snapper 7, and when I press and hold the bind button, the lights don't stop flashing red. Tried Betaflight, and it says it's not supported. So what? When you try to read it in the when you try to connect it, says it's not supported. Can you? I would say if it's not reading on Betaflight, try reflashing it to the target. So try changing the target. Google what the Snapper 7 target is, and then and if not, you can also email me, and I will try and find a dump file for you later. And if I have a Snapper 7, I know Trevor's got one, but it might take a little while until we can track one down. But I'll try and get a dump file, send that to you, and you can try and flash your board. We'll tell you what to flash it to, and put that new dump file on, which will kind of reset it to factory default. Or you might even be able to email the guys at Happy Model and say, hey, look, my board is not connecting. Can you please tell me what target I should be using when I'm going to flash my firmware? And then they'll be able to give you a dump file as well. Brian Brains, anything groundbreaking coming? Well, I don't know about groundbreaking, but I know racers are going to be very interested in this this special canopy right here. All right, scrolling down. And up, man, I hate it how my mouse does that. It just scrolls down a little bit and then jumps like 2 pages. Uh, Matthew Smiley. Hey, Stu. I have everything else for racing, but I want a 5-inch, not a freestyle drone. I have experience with the Blade Scimitar. I do DSMX. Just get else for racing, but a 5-inch, not a freestyle drone. I Okay, if you want racing, definitely check out the Catalyst Machine Works builds. There, that's really where it's at. Captain Hill, thanks. I might get a Tiny Hawk because I know that I crash a lot. That's always a good option. Make sure I really like the Tiny Hawk 1. I'm not the biggest fan of the Tiny Hawk S or the Tiny Hawk 2, so I prefer the Tiny Hawk 1. That's my Tiny Hawk of choice. All right, Younger Buckets is asking about PID tuning here. I'm confused about Betaflight PIDs, so is there any videos that you have done about Betaflight? There is some, if you Google UAV Futures Betaflight setup, there is some, but when it comes to tuning PIDs, most of the time I find in 90% of my situations, the oscillations or things that are problems with the drone itself, less the PID tuning. Most of the time nowadays, it is amazing. If you've got the latest version of Betaflight on your craft, it is amazing just how well they've adapted, and it is able to kind of suit a variety of crafts that we are flying around. So the stock tune, and I know a lot of people are going to get upset, but the stock tune I find for most craft is outstanding. But of course, some people will say they always need to tune their craft, and they might be talking about the smallest oscillation or the smallest little bit of prop wash. And a lot of times, I think people just like to change some numbers and say that it's flying better. Not always the case. If it's flying well out of the box, and I can't stress this enough, if it is flying well, do not mess with it. If it is flying great, Do not even update it. Do not update your ESCs. Do not update your flight controller. You don't need to. Don't mess around with your PIDs. The only thing you should be changing is the rates and the expo, because if it's flying well and you enjoy it, don't mess it up. I've said so many countless stories of people watching a video, adding filters, updating Betaflight, changing their PIDs, and oh look, now my quad flies like rubbish and I can't get it back to the way that it used to be. All right. How did this one is from Peng Penquatics RC. How did you meet Granger? Love the channel. So thank you very much. And the big thumbs up there. I met Granger. Actually, he was at the test track flying around. We used to fly at this other place. And Grumpy Trev was like, hey, there's this kid down here. He really wants to meet you, Stu. Do you want to pop down? I think I was driving out somewhere. I said, sure, I'll swing by. Jumped there, and Granger was like this. He's like, "Oh, hi!" It was pretty funny actually, because I didn't know it at the time, but he was like apparently some super fan. He's like, "Oh yeah, I used to watch all your videos, Stu." So that's kind of crazy. And what I really like about Granger, not only is he a really nice person, but don't tell him I said this, but he is so humble and just fun to hang around with. A really cool kid who is just a nice person. But also, it's crazy to see his progression. He has gone from, and this is where I feel privileged to have. I feel privileged to have the amazing pilots that I fly with. But he has gone from just being an everyday beginner pilot to one of the best pilots in the country in a short span of time, and I feel blessed that I get to show you that on the channel. I get to show you his crazy racing skills, all that sort of. Like he just went and represented Australia over in China. All right. Oh, okay. Ed is saying when I command to bind, it says not supported. Snapper 7 uses bind. Oh, so you mean so it can connect to Betaflight? We're talking about that reflashing part of your Snapper 7. I think you need to type like SPI underscore RX underscore BND for bind, or Google some of the binding commands in there. Or you can email me. I think I have an email saved where it goes through the binding commands or something, so I'll be able to point you in the right direction as well. What happens if I click this down arrow? Is it going to jump to the bottom of the page or just scroll down a little bit? It jumped to the bottom of the page. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Brian Brains. Sorry, Brian Barnes. There we go. It gets a bit tricky for me trying to read out these names and answer questions at the same time and keep an eye on the stream or what's going on. Also, I've got my distracting my face over on this camera. I'm meant to be looking here while reading questions just here. Chad Hollis, your thoughts on the newest Betaflight dynamic idle function? I don't know. That seems like one of Bardwell's videos. I haven't watched it yet. And if if I need to update my quarter or something, I might check that out sometime. But I don't know. Does it do much? He said people had never really heard about it and didn't. I don't know. So I don't really have much thoughts on it. I feel like if it becomes the norm, I probably won't even notice it when people start turning it on by default. What do I think about F4 and F7 from Anya FPV? Avia FPV. Here's one. F4 and F7, so the flight controllers feel fairly similar. Same sort of stuff. These are microscopic upgrades that I don't notice so much of a difference. Would you recommend switching from a Tyrannus to a Tango 2? So that is from Matthew Giddle. Yep. If you've got one or you have access to one, yeah, definitely check that out. But the Tango 2 is also out of stock. Too easy. Alrighty. Let's have a look here. Remember to keep tagging me. It makes it a little bit easier for me. Good. I want to say good job to Lewis, who seems like he's helping some people out there. If you younger buckets, if you plug in a drone and it comes with pre-tuned PIDs and you update it, will it erase the PIDs from the pre-tune? I am not 100% sure there, but one thing I think is that PIDs don't always correlate from update to update, so you need to definitely write them down, but you can't just take one setting and then update it to a new Betaflight and put in the same settings, because I think and this is when working with some of Jono's quads as well, that I know there was I think it might have been Betaflight 3.5, where it was burning out a lot of micros, and they were doing some things there. He burnt like 3 or 4 micros because he was updating them, and he still worked on his old settings. New settings with same PIDs and everything did not translate well, so just be careful when it comes to updating as well. Radler FPV. Oh, he's answering someone else's questions. We got Dodgy jumping in here. Hey, Dodge, what's going on, brother? Long time no see. Dodgy is one of the people who helps out on our wonderful Discord server. And if you're new, go check that Discord server out, which is this thing right here. Jump in, have a chat, and just talk all things FPV. It's just a really, really fun place to talk about FPV and share your builds, get some help, and generally just muck around. Some people play some sims, and Trevor's uses Trevor's personal bleep line that's been around for a couple of years now. We've got about 13,000 members. People are always talking about FPV, so go jump in there if you're new. And Dodgy does a wonderful job on there helping out as well. It's 4 in the morning here in the UK, right? So I wonder if people are going to bed or waking up. We got here any news about some other stuff about the FAA. I bet you don't hear very much about them, especially with everyone being locked inside. You're not going to hear very much at all. They'll probably pass some secret bills where, oh, too late. You couldn't go out to protest or do anything because you're all inside. But here's some new regulations we'll have to abide by. All right. Chad Hollis is saying Betaflight stock PIDs are a good place to start, but they aren't very fast. But if you just starting out, they're perfect, really. I don't know what you mean by very fast. So PIDs are all about how it handles in the air in terms of oscillations and prop wash. But in terms of speed, you're looking at either the processing power of the flight controller or just how much raw thrust and power the drone is putting out. It's 5 a.m. in the morning in Germany, 11:30 in Canada. All right, so UAV Futures is going to read you a bedtime story here, Danny, if it's getting a bit late. What do the knobs on the QX7 do? So those are, I believe the correct name is the potentiometer. Let's Google some here. I think. Tyrannus. X9 Pro. Tennis. No, can't even type properly. Alright, so here we go. Let's have a look at some of these. And of course, that one doesn't have any. Let's Google Tyrannus Special Edition. Here we go. So that is that's a good example. Let's have a look here. So you're talking about these little knobs here. So you can see there's one on each side. I believe the correct term is a potentiometer, and that is the same as it just controls the channel on your radio. So drone's not going to be a good example. So those switches, when you flick it, it jumps up from the channel. So it'll be down the bottom of the channel to the middle to the top. That'll be a 3-position switch. Click, 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 click. You know, when you flick the switch, the potentiometer allows you to adjust the value that channel is the value, I don't know how better to say that, the value of that channel on a controlled smooth plane. So you can twist it. If you just want to go up a little bit, you could twist it. It's kind of like, you know how you have your throttle? You can move your throttle up and down to adjust your throttle. It's not in a click, click. It's you have that free movement up and down on the gimbal. You could, in theory, set your throttle to that potentiometer, and depending on how much you turned it is how much throttle you would have. That's the same sort of control you have. Now you can adjust it different ways and different setups on your radio, all that sort of stuff, but that's yeah, it's called a potentiometer, and that's what it's made for. Now, a lot of people use them for trimming. A lot of people use them in fixed wing pilots. You know, if they want to adjust little parts, you might want to have it on your camera. So if you might want to adjust on some fixed wing pilots, if you have a servo, your camera up and down a little bit. So you need that fine control of, oh, I just need to tilt the camera up just a little bit. You could tilt that little pot, and it would raise it up, something like that. That's the sort of reason that we've got those on there. Do quads use them? Not really. Do you have to worry about them if you just fly FPV? Nope, not at all. Rightio, so Avia FPV, it's 9:15 a.m. here in Nepal. Namaste, my friend. I remember, Nepal is one of the best places I have ever been. Way back when I was about 20, did a trek around there, and it was surreal. I don't know what it's like nowadays, though. This was probably like 15 years ago. Okay, it's 1 p.m. here in Adelaide, so 1:30 here in Vic. Okay, blow up the Cron. What's going on, brother? I heard you were in Discord yesterday. Sorry, me and you must have just missed each other because I know straight after my stream, I saw you in there, but I had to go have lunch with my family, and when I got back to the computer, you weren't in there, but we definitely need to catch up. Please stick around in there as well. Younger Buckets at UAV Futures. I'm getting all my stuff in Sunday and was wondering what is the first thing that you say to do with the drone, goggles, radios, etc. Also to pre-built quad. Okay, if you've just got your quad, please, Younger Buckets, make sure you're going to be practicing on the sim. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure you have your props off first. Then you can plug it in. You make sure you don't leave it sitting for too long. Don't leave it sitting on the bench just with your lipo plugged in. Also check, you remember when it's plugged in, it's going to be drawing juice out of that lipo, so you can't just leave it in there all the time. Don't let your lipo run too low. See if you can check your voltage, so you need to be able to, have some way to recharge your quad. Make sure your channel and your VTX are on the same thing when it comes to your goggles and your radio. This will be good because you can watch all this back. You can watch this live stream back. You can adjust your channel goggle and also look up smart audio, how to make sure that your drone is sending out the same signal as what's on your goggle. And then you can test your arming switches, make sure you've set all that up, make sure your radio is working well and the drone is doing what you want. Then you can go out to a field and practice a little bit of hovering once you've done the work on the sim. Just hover your drone first without FPV, just so you can see how much power does it have. Hover it around and then be somewhere safe, and you can start to learn FPV. You should have also been practicing on the sim at nighttime during all of this. So that's a lot to take in. Thankfully, this is live, but you can also watch it back. Matthew Geidel, new idea: assign a throttle to a pot and see if the crew can fly with it. That would definitely. I don't know how you would have to do that because you need the yaw as well. So you need to maybe you'd have to have someone else flying it, controlling the pot while you only control the yaw. Chad Hollis is saying, Stu, I've been watching since the good old days with Project Blue Falcon. God bless his soul. Absolutely. I was talking about him. I was on Discord a little bit before I jumped on this stream. I was talking about him earlier. If anyone doesn't know who Project Blue Falcon is, just a really, really nice guy who passed before his time. So he was right into FPV and helping people as well. So he definitely had a huge impact on my life. Jacob Nuz, do you plan on doing more wing flying videos? Yep, I plan on pretty much doing any videos related to FPV. Subscribe for more FPV related content, but just more aviation, flying around, having fun. And if we've got some videos coming up with Wingman Jono, Long Range Tony, Tony actually has. Let me see if I can get you up a picture here. Check this out in my pictures from Tony. Where is he? Search Tony. Here we go. He just built this awesome looking craft. So there we go. I don't know if this is going to be. Oh, we got some terrible. So like an old school balsa wood craft. He's got it sitting on his bench. So I can't wait to get together, and I don't want to break that one. I want that one. That looks really, really nice. Okay. Okay. Ben's answering some questions here. He's talking about he thumbs when he's playing around on console, but when he's flying around, he pinches on the sticks. And you know what? I think we're about to hit the 1.5 hour mark. We just have hit that, and I think that's a good time for the stream. If you've got any final questions, throw them in there. I just want to say thanks to everybody for your support. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and let me know what's the time like for where it's at, like the stream quality, all that sort of stuff. The Discord link is there. And also, I'm going to try and do a live stream tomorrow. Let's try and do like 7 days of live streaming and see what happens. And I'm going to post it after this. So in the next little bit, I'm going to post a link to a new stream for tomorrow's one. Make sure you click that reminder button, all that sort of stuff, because it definitely does help. Also, what was the latency like between what I was talking about and people who were answering questions? So that was another thing I tried to change in this stream. We've got some questions, final questions coming in. Q Breeze, do you have a Crossfire receiver to use the Tango 2? Do you have to have a Crossfire receiver to use the Tango 2? Yes, you do. The Crossfire receiver, you need the TBS micro receivers to go with it, or any Crossfire receiver, actually, I should say. Younger Buckets, do you recommend practicing with the radio before flying? Yes, if you jump on the sim, use your radio. I know you can practice with an Xbox controller. It's not the same. Use the radio that you're going to get and make sure you can do at least a couple of circuits on acro mode before you go out and fly the real thing. people waving in from India. Thanks very Indiana, I should say. Thanks very much, Bill. Um, Ben's getting some question answered there. Thanks so much for your help, Ben, through the comments. And latency was good. Too easy. All right. Thanks very much, Groom Lake Fisherman. So we got a super chat there. So definitely, thank you very much, brother. Very much appreciated. If you have any questions, please throw them down below. I'm not going to end the stream while we've got a super chat on there because that would be just a little bit too rude. So while that's up there, there we go, guys. Thanks to our Groom, we've got a little bit of time in here. We'll answer some more questions and just have a bit of a chat. Can't fly around, but just have some fun. And we've got Ben still answering questions. Can I buy an F4 rather than spending money on the F7 Avia FPV? Yeah, absolutely. You are not going to find any problems, any issues in the current state of Betaflight by using an F4. You're going to have, it's going to be more than enough. Even look, even an F3. If someone gave me a well-tuned F3, I would be like, yeah, it's fine. I don't need it to do anything more. What would you recommend for a starter fly? I'm into drones that have good distance and are controllable with goggles. So do you mean like this is List Smite, Lit Smite? I don't know how to pronounce that. What do you mean they're controllable with goggles? Like a FPV drone that we control with our radio and we can see through our goggles? Is that what you mean? If otherwise, I would say the Nazgul is a great value entry drone. Chad Hollis is saying F3s are still legit. F3s are better because you can invert the S bus. That's what Dodgy is saying in there. Also, Groom, if you've got some questions, man, throw them in there. Just because you're awesome, great job. It's very kind of you. Usually people do a super chat and they've got a question they want answered at the end. So we've had some of the nicest super chats ever today. People just being appreciative. And it makes me feel good too, like on a personal note, to know that I'm helping people get flying and enjoying this hobby, changing their life in a positive way that changed mine. That's what it's all about. And sharing that to other people and letting, when it comes back full circle and people let me know that it's done that, it's it's pretty special. Okay. We have Maple FPV. Should I upgrade from the EV800Ds to SkyZone O2Cs or all wait for second gen HD? I don't know when second gen HD is coming. I haven't heard anything about it. Doesn't mean that it's not happening. Could happen tomorrow. Who knows? Could happen a year from now. But the SkyZone O2Cs are a beautiful goggle that I recommend as my goggle of choice if you're going to be getting that Fat Shark style dual monitor screen thing. The EV800Ds, I'm not the biggest fan of. Definitely don't get the newest ones. Adam Joe says, "Hey Stu, hey Adam, hope you're doing well, brother. What's the time over there?" All right, and then I don't think I missed too many questions. I'm wondering what I'm going to start to do for lunch. I think we might be having some burritos, which I'm pretty excited about. But burritos in Australia are very different to burritos over in the US. I hear burritos in the US look amazing. Here they're just like, we don't have very good Mexican in Australia, which sucks. Even our Mexican restaurants aren't that very good. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock over there. Out of 9 at night, I'm going to guess. Groom Lake Fisherman is saying, got issues with Betaflight connectivity between my drone and laptop. Press connect and it's not connecting. Change the cordage and nothing. You think it may be a driver? Is it? Oh, you've changed the cord. Okay. Does it make any noise at all when you plug it in? That's the first thing. So you should be hearing like the USB connection noise when you plug that in. And otherwise, can you try a different laptop just to see if you've got if it is a driver issue? But at least when you plug it in, you should hear a noise. If it's not, it's probably it is a physical problem. So it would be a problem between the USB port on the drone. It could be the cable, maybe using data cables. Maybe you're just using power cables, because remember those micro USB cables are different. Sometimes they're power only, and other times they can have data. And other than that, maybe it's broken. But is there another USB port on a different computer you can test it out on? I know that's definitely not an option for everybody, but it might be able to help you troubleshoot some of those problems. Too easy. All right, Lead Chicken FPV. That's enjoy your name. I've learned a lot from you and got ton motivated from you as always. Having a great attitude. Thanks, brother. Thanks so much. That's very kind of you to say. Keep those kind words actually mean quite a lot. So I always think of it as it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you only really say that was amazing if you really did enjoy that food. Most of the time, if it's just adequate and you're like, yeah, it's good, you just leave without saying too much. Like, yeah, food, how was the food? Oh, it was good. But people love to complain if it's not a good meal. I feel like it's the same thing with with FPV videos and people videos that people make. And I am fortunate that I get so many positive comments on my videos. So I feel it really does let me know that I am doing a good job. So, and you guys are enjoying it. And that's what it's all about. Anyway, I think we're going to end the stream there. I think you're right about the cord, but don't have an option on the computer. I only have one laptop. So yeah, okay, try some other cords right there. Groom. Cables are a pain in the butt. Yep, that's correct. Russ Wolf 911, but Russ is like as old as the hills. So Russ was around. You believe it or not, Russ is so old. He used to do work before computers even existed. What did you used to use, Russ? I think you were talking about me. It was like a stone tablet you used to carve your stuff in or something back in the day. I don't know. Let me know how they used to do that in ancient Egypt or whenever Russ was born. He's pretty old bloke. So Russ, I got to give a big shout out to him because he is one of the guys I talk to a lot on Discord. He pretty much looks like if Santa Claus was mixed with a hardcore bikey dude and they merged together. That's what Russ looks like. Too easy. All right. Uh, anyway, that's the end of the stream. Huge shout out to everybody. Remember, the Discord link is above. Go jump in there, have a chat. Especially right now, if you've never done Discord before, it is one of. This is where I've met. Like when you talk about the people I'm talking about here right now. Dodgy. We've had Ben, Russ, Rod. Blow up the Cron who was in here, Raven. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other people as well who'll probably be pretty upset. Donnie, shout out to him. He even gave me a super chat in here, the madman. Discord, jump in there, make some. You'd be surprised if you want to talk FPV. If you're sitting at home and your wife is or your spouse is just like doing this, you're like, oh, anyway, so this is about drones, and you start to roll your eyes and be like, oh, they start to like their eyes roll in the back of their head, and your spouse or partner doesn't want to hear about drones anymore. Maybe your kids are sick about hearing about drones. Jump in Discord because that is where you can vent all your drone loving enthusiasm, and people will be happy to listen and talk and offer advice and just generally talk about FPV, people fly around sims, all that sort of stuff. The Discord's there. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. And as always, happy flying. I'm going to end the stream, but make sure you hit that. There should be a new icon in the next 5 or 10 minutes that comes up, so you can jump in for tomorrow's stream, so we can set that reminder. Because it'll be interesting to see what YouTube starts to do when I'm doing these streams and putting these little reminders up. Could be an interesting experiment. Anyway, as always, happy flying. Now I've got to figure out how to end this stream, and I'm pretty sure I click on this button and my computer doesn't burst into flames, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Anyway, and I'll catch you on Discord as well. Anyway, happy flying. End stream.